What's going on, guys? It's Danny from Fantasy Stock Exchange here, and today I'm going through the top streamer options entering week 3 of fantasy football. Options at the quarterback, tight end, and DST positions to help get you over the top in your week 3 matchups. If you guys enjoy content like this and are interested in watching more, make sure you leave a like down below, comment your favorite streaming option of the week, and subscribe to the channel. We just eclipsed 15,000 on the channel. Road to 20,000 as always. Appreciate you guys for the continued support. But before we get into the video, as always, let's hit the damn intro. All right, let's start off at the quarterback position. My top 3 streaming options at the quarterback position this week, entering week 3 of fantasy football. Number 1 is going to be Carson Wentz, quarterback of the Washington Commanders, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, rostered in 52% of leagues via Yahoo Fantasy. And when it comes to Carson Wentz, he's not just an option that I feel comfortable streaming this week. Carson Wentz is a player, in my opinion, right now, given what he's shown in these first 2 weeks, who should be owned in every league at this point, especially if you lost Dak Prescott last week or Trey Lance this week. In terms of this actual matchup, Washington against Philly, we have the second highest initial over-under at 50.5. And as we've seen with Wentz in these first couple games, he's thrown for over 300 yards in each of these first 2 games with the Washington Commanders and is currently tied for the league lead in touchdown passes. I expect a whole lot of volume from Carson Wentz, whole lot of volume from this Washington passing offense for a potential divisional shootout between the Commanders and the Eagles. Go out, get Carson Wentz. I don't know how he's still rostered in less than like 75, 80% of leagues, because this is an every week top 15 quarterback option for the time being. And that might even be too low on him given what he showed in the first 2 weeks. Next option is going to be Jared Goff, quarterback of the Detroit Lions, going up against the Minnesota Vikings on the road. 22% ownership for Jared Goff. And this game actually has the highest over-under of the entire slate thus far at 52.5 between the Lions and the Vikings. And with Goff, like Wentz, he's played extremely well. Obviously, going into the year, Goff and Wentz were considered these journeyman quarterbacks. They don't have high ceilings in fantasy. They're not really going to be able to get you through. But Goff and Wentz have been 2 of the better performing quarterbacks in the entire NFL. And I expect this Lions offense that has looked extremely strong to start the year to potentially hang another 30 points on a Minnesota Vikings D that just got absolutely obliterated by the Eagles on Monday Night Football. Expect the Lions to look good. Expect Jared Goff to look hot. And I expect potentially an upset here for the Detroit Lions going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Final streaming quarterback of the week is going to be Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars, going up on the road against the Los Angeles Chargers, 57% roster. And this just has more to do with me believing in Trevor Lawrence having taken that next step rather than, a quarterback going up against an ideal defense. Because I do think that the Chargers present a lot of talent on defense. However, given what we've seen from this Jags offense schematically and what we've seen from Trevor Lawrence as a player development, I do think this Jags offense is going to be able to contend in this game. And like I said, with the Lions potentially upsetting the Vikings, I think there's a real possibility that the Jaguars can go on the road and upset the Chargers. I do expect that this game will be high scoring if Justin Herbert is suiting up. However, I do think the Jaguars are going to be able to put up a fight on their own end and potentially, like I said, win this game. Trevor Lawrence, no problem. If he is not rostered in your league, I have no problem throwing him out as a mid-teen type of quarterback option with potential quarterback 1 upside on the week. I just want to bet on young, mobile, elite talents to carry a good play moving forward. And that's exactly what Trevor Lawrence represents. On to the tight end position. Number 1 streaming option of the week is going to be Hayden Hurst, tight end of the Cincinnati Bengals, going up on the road against the New York Jets, 16% roster sit for Hurst. And we've seen these first 2 games for Hayden Hurst, an 82% route participation and a 16.9% target share in Cincinnati. I do think that while the Bengals offense has looked sluggish to start the year, going up against the Steelers and the Cowboys, I think this is a potential make right, get right game against the New York Jets. New York has conceded 54 points allowed in their first 2 games, and I do expect this Bengals offense to take a bounce back in a big way. Hayden Hurst has been commanding volume on what's been a, struggling Bengals offense. I think it's going to be a get right. And if that's the case, Hayden Hurst has an opportunity to score a touchdown for Cincinnati. Number 2 option is going to be Evan Ingram, tight end of the Jacksonville Jaguars, going up, like I said, on the road against the LA Chargers. And I talked about his quarterback. I got to talk about the tight end here. 80.5% route participation and a 16.7% target share on the Jaguars offense thus far. And it looks like it's going to be an improved offense, like I said, with Trevor Lawrence. We know that Christian Kirk is going to be the one here. He's been an alpha thus far. He's looking like he's having a breakout year for the Jaguars after getting that bag in the offseason. But there's a real possibility that After him, a ton of ambiguity is opening up for this Jags receiving core in terms of pecking order, and Evan Ingram has all the opportunity to potentially be a number 2 target on what I expect to be an above average offense with the Jaguars. So go target Evan Ingram, especially if you skipped out at the tight end position. Also go target Tyler Conklin, tight end of the New York Jets. Again, reverse side of the Hayden Hurst matchup, going up at home against the Cincinnati Bengals, only rostered in 3% of leagues, despite the first 2 weeks, an 82.5% route participation, and a 15.5% target share. Obviously, we expect that this Jets passing offense isn't just going to throw the ball 51 and a half times a game, which they have done in these first 2 games with Joe Flacco. But I do think that in this game, especially against Cincinnati, it presents another potential positive passing game script for a team that I expect to be behind, and I expect to try to catch up in this game going up against Cincinnati. And what I expect it to be, an extremely run-heavy approach for New York in those first 2 games, especially with Flacco, a backup quarterback in. We've actually seen that the Jets have been about league average in terms of neutral game script passing rate, which only bodes well for Tyler Conklin, who with CJ Uzomah banged up, has proven to be the de facto number 1 tight end option in New York. Onto the defensive side, let's go to DSTs. Number 1 DST of the week in terms of defenses that are rostered in 60% or less leagues is going to be Dallas going up on the road Monday Night Football against the New York Giants. And when it comes to Dallas, this defense has looked like an absolute unit to start this season. So far, the turnover luck hasn't exactly been comparable to last year. They've only forced, 1 interception and 0 forced fumbles in the first 2 games. But the pass rush has been absolutely elite, and they look like an overall better unit in terms of being able to stop people. You guys will see this graphic on the screen from Voice of the Star, Patrick Walker, but he basically talks about how dominant this Cowboys pass rush was against the Bengals. 15 pressures, 9 quarterback hits, 6 sacks, 4 PBUs, and a forced fumble, while also holding that dynamic trio of Burrow, Mixon, and Chase all way under their averages on that day. So when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys being able to shut down the Cincinnati Bengals, now they get a much softer matchup. This Giants offensive line has played much better, but they haven't seen a unit remotely close to what Dallas presents to them on Monday Night Football. I expect a ton of generated pressure and what should lead to a potential takeaway opportunities against a guy like Daniel Jones, who isn't exactly known for his ability to take care of the ball. Go start Dallas defense. I think they could absolutely be one of the top 5 scoring defenses going into week 3 for fantasy football. Another defense I really want to start is going to be Kansas City going up on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. 36% rostered in Yahoo fantasy leagues. And to put it simply, this Colts offense has been an absolute mess to start the year. They've conceded 7 sacks, 6 fumbles, and Matt Ryan has thrown 4 interceptions in his first 2 games. I expect, of course, from the Chiefs offensive side to be able to put up points, forcing the Colts to get off a Jonathan Taylor dominant game script and pass the football. And as I said with Matt Ryan, he's been struggling. This offensive line has been struggling. The Colts are forced to a pass first type of game plan. The Chiefs are going to be able to pin their ears back and absolutely take over this game. Not to mention, we still have the uncertain status of Michael Pittman. I still like this defense even if he plays. But if Michael Pittman does not play in this game against the Chiefs, oh boy, things are looking dangerous for the Colts. They have no options. Ashton Doolin, Paris Campbell got shut out this past week. Realistically, from a weapon standpoint, if Michael Pittman doesn't play, Matt Ryan is going to be in for a long day going up against Kansas City. Final defense I'm going to be streaming this week is going to be the New Orleans Saints going up on the road against Carolina Panthers, 60% rostered in Yahoo fantasy leagues. And it's a very similar case to what I said with the Indianapolis Colts. The Panthers offense, to put it simply, has looked extremely suspect to start the year. And this is a divisional game. I expect the Saints defensive line to overwhelm a Panthers front that has conceded 6 sacks in the first 2 games of Baker Mayfield's era in Carolina. But either way, if you've made it to the end of this video, I'm trying to keep it brief, about 10 minutes long. Make sure you leave a like down below. And again, comment your favorite streamer of the week, whether it's a defense, tight end, or quarterback. And of course, subscribe to the channel. You guys would have already seen my top waiver claims earlier today. Hopefully these streamers will help you go forth. But either way, appreciate you guys. Tune in for the rest of the week and take care.
Why you need the money?